This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Miles Memories Weekly, episode 236. Miles Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where we're talking about painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Oh, could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, Games Workshop finally listened to me. I feel like I've been begging for it all edition now, since the release of the beautiful Leviathan Terminator sculpts. But finally, Assault Terminators, revamped Primaris-sized Assault Terminators, are coming out. Oh, and they are glorious. Thank goodness recently we've been getting some more Space Marine models. Quite a few more Space Marine models. I think last week they came out with 4 new sculpts for the Ultramarine specifically, and now we're getting 2 more sculpts for just vanilla Space Marines. And one of them is really shocking to me, Terminator Ancient. Terminator Ancient is a little bit of an invention for 10th edition. There was never really a vanilla Space Marine Ancient before in Terminator armor. There sorta was. If you look at the app right now, if you add a Terminator Ancient to your army, you'll see the Space Marine Heroes Series 2 Terminator Ancient that I think was only available in Japan. I've never physically, actually that's a lie, I have physically seen one in person. I have one because they were made to order later last year and I bought them then. And so actually technically I will, once I get this sucker, I'll get 2 Ancients and Terminator armors, which is arguably too many, but I got them. But other than that, the only option for a Terminator carrying a banner was to kit bash something, or you could use the Grey Knight Terminator Ancient, but it's a Grey Knight Terminator with all of the Grey Knight accoutrement, and it is a Grey Knight's banner with a Grey Knight stabbing a demon. Or if you happen to come across one of the old Blood Angels Assault Terminator kits, one of those models was holding a banner, but again, it was a very Blood Angels themed banner. So it's interesting that this model that was kind of invented for 10th edition Space Marines is finally getting like solidified into a real thing. Because if I was gonna put money down that this Space Marine unit was gonna continue to exist, the Space Marine unit that doesn't exist, I would have said no. It's gonna get squatted just like half the Dark Eldar range, which is a little bit hyperbolic. We lost a 1/6 of our range, but then we got 3 datasheets back. So we lost 4, got 3. Kind of a wash. Dark Eldar didn't get as much things as I would have appreciated, but Space Marines are getting all sorts of goodies. And the new Ancient is lovely. A very similar pose to the Space Marine Heroes Series 2 model, but he's got a big old fancy banner with an eagle and the Crux Terminatus in the laurel wreath. Plenty of room for a little bit of freehanding. He's got some banners and a fun little chapter badge on top. It is a really, really nice mini. The new banner for the Ultramarines is so incredible, with the Ultramarine stabbing the Gene Stealer, representing the battle form of Crag. This banner is pretty good, but do I sand off all of that stuff on there and try to paint the Black Templar banner, where you've got a Sword Brethren holding up a lantern with light arcing out of it. And then I think the banner says Hell's Reach at the bottom. I'd have to double check what the Codex art shows, but I do kind of want that banner. I mean, if the Ultramarines get a beautiful, perfect chapter banner, I kind of want one for the Black Templar. Like, this would look lovely, all painted up in black and red and white, but I feel like I would want to turn it into an actual Black Templar banner. I don't know, Terminator Ancient is a pretty good model. The benefits you get is +1 to your objective control, which is good. And then if your squad is below starting strength, you get +1 to hit. And then if your squad is below half strength, you get +1 to wound. Usually that's not a very good rule. You don't want to have taken damage before you start to get the benefits. But Terminators are so tanky that you probably will spend parts of the game in both of those states. So it's a pretty good ability for a relatively cheap character. But speaking of relatively cheap characters, well actually no, really, really, really expensive characters, the Terminators themselves. I have been holding off on buying Assault Terminators because I knew the Leviathan Terminator sculpts are so beautiful and perfect and big and chunky. I did not want to go back to the old weenie Terminators with their little chicken legs and put together some assault squads of those. I wanted the big, proper-sized Terminators, and here they are. They are exactly what I wanted, just upscale Terminators, bigger, chunkier, with the classic weapons, no alteration to the weapon designs at all. They are missing their little camera lenses that hang off of the side of their heads, which I think was true of the original Assault Terminators as well. I guess because they don't have ranged weapons, they don't need the extra lenses or cameras. I kind of like the lenses and cameras, but that's okay if they're missing. The lightning claws or the thunder hammers. Two very different types of units, depending on which weapon loadout you go with. The lightning claws are really, really juicy. A ton of AP-2 attacks that are twin linked, so once you get past that to hit, you are just going for the to wound. But the Thunderhammers and Storm Shields, the Hammernator squad, it's the better one, because there's tons of other Space Marine units that can do some pretty good close combat damage, but there's not a lot of like anti-vehicle 4-up, super crazy, devastating wound Thunderhammers. The tricky thing with Terminators, and it's kind of been this way all edition, is vanilla Space Marine Terminators are not very good. They're very, very expensive for what they do. And to be fair, Hammernators, a big squad of 10 Hammernators charging in will probably kill God, but you're paying out the nose for that privilege. I mean, it's almost 400 points in just the Terminators. And then you definitely attach a character, and then you definitely spend the command points for some stratagems. And so all of a sudden, it's like you're putting half the resources of your army into this one squad. That's not all that survivable. A 2-up save with a 4-up invuln is really, really good, but without any extra something, it can start to get whittled away kind of frustratingly quickly. The move was, if you were a Black Templars player, you took Tannheiser's Bones Enhancement, and you took it in Abhor the Witch Vow, and that would give you a 6-up Feel No Pain on your whole army, and then a 5-up Feel No Pain on the specific unit with the Tannheiser's Bones. And so that was a 2-up save, 4-up invuln, 5-up Feel No Pain. And that made for a really disgustingly resilient Terminator squad. But losing that Feel No Pain, it leaves them a little high and dry. There's a lot of damage 2, damage 3, damage 4 out there in the game, and those start to slip through your armor save, and all of a sudden, you start to lose Terminators really quickly. And the problem with squads of guys versus vehicles right now is you blow a vehicle in half, it's still exactly as it was before. It's still just as lethal, just as powerful, able to do just as many things. But you kill half of a 400-point Terminator squad, it loses half of its effectiveness. It is a much smaller threat than it was before. And so if you're gonna be chucking a whole bunch of points into something, and you needed to do something, usually it was better to get really spendy on those vehicles as opposed to those troops. I don't know if Games Workshop has any plans on fixing the Terminators. I don't think their damage output needs to be helped at all. I think really it's just a matter of the points. But I don't really want Terminators to get cheaper. Like, I don't want to bring more Terminators to make them more effective. I just kind of want them to be more effective. So I think they need a Feel No Pain. I mean, they have the Crux Terminatus. They have a little shard of the Emperor's original holy armor on them. Maybe that just grants them the Feel No Pain. Because they gave a little bit of extra staying power to all of the other Terminators. Rubric Terminators or Scarab Occult Terminators, the Fetid Terminators from the Death Guard. Like every Terminator that's not a vanilla Terminator is a little bit better and a little bit more survivable. So I would like to see a little something to the data sheet, a little something to make them better. Assault Terminators have an ability, if they charge you, you have to take a battle shock check. Not the most exciting thing around. It's kinda nice because in theory, if they fail that battle shock check, then stratagems can't be spent on that unit. And so they can't do things like Oath the Moment or pop whatever survivability strat that your opponent might have, which is valuable, but I don't know. I almost feel like for Terminators, for the most powerful thing that mankind has to throw against the alien, the mutant, and the Xenos, and the Heretic, they should come with a automatic battle shock check fail. I mean, that would be ridiculously powerful, and we haven't seen it in 40k, but come on, I'm paying 400 points. I feel like I could make a squad of Orc Boys fail their battle shock check. I feel like that would not split the game right down the middle. It might break the game if I'm charging something really, really good, but I don't know. Terminators, I feel like if you get charged by Terminators, I feel like you have to ignore whatever buttons you are pressing on the objective, and you just have to deal with these suckers. They do look absolutely beautiful though, and I am going to buy them. I'm really, really torn. They're coming out in a new Battle Force box, the Crux Terminatus, which is the symbol that is on their shoulders and a lot of their knees. But it is 2 boxes of 5 Assault Terminators, 1 Vanilla Squad of Terminators, and the 3 Terminator characters, the Chaplain, the Captain, and the Banner Holder. I do own some of these guys. I own the Terminator Captain from Leviathan, but I don't own the generic Terminator Captain. And then the Chaplain, I actually kit bashed and converted one from Bits. And so I don't have one that is carrying the Storm Shield or the Relic Storm Shield. I could use everything in this box because currently I own 15 Leviathan Vanilla Terminators, so that would put me at 20. Like, I could totally use and enjoy and love everything in this box. I wish this was coming out a little earlier, because in the not so distant future, they're gonna show off the Christmas Battle Forces for 40k, and I might want one of those. And I don't know if I want 2 Battle Forces in 1 year. Then my pile of shame would be getting absolutely, utterly ridiculous. But man, oh man, Terminators. Assault Terminators. And the Hammernators are better, but I like the Lightning Claws. The Lightning Claws are so cool and so juicy. Charging in there and then just Wolverine clawing my opponents away. It's really, really tempting. Really though, this is Games Workshop FOMO working on me, because if they just dropped Assault Terminator box, like just reg 6250, just put it out there, I would have just pre-ordered, would have pre-ordered 2. But it's stuck in a big box, and so now I'm thinking, well, maybe I could use all of those other things as well. Oh, Games Workshop. Terminators, you know my weakness. I wonder what those Christmas Battle Forces are gonna be. When was the last time the last Christmas Battle Force I bought, I think, was Death Guard a few years ago. What could they come out for Christmas that would immediately make me want to pull the trigger? I don't know, if it was Kroot. It's not gonna be Kroot, but if it was Kroot, that would be pretty wild. Although I already own multiples of every single Kroot model for 40k, so maybe it wouldn't be that tempting. I don't know, maybe I could just pull the trigger on the Crux Terminatus box for some Hammernator Terminators. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but these models are really, really exciting. Oh, the little drop pod, or the homing beacon, the little marker. It's a weird rule that Terminators have, the homing beacon, where you can put this anywhere, essentially in no man's land or your home field objective at the start of the game, and then your Terminators can teleport to it for a free rapid ingress, which is pretty good, but you do have to stay, you have to teleport in within a bubble around the teleport homer, and then you have to be within 9 inches away from enemy models, which can be pretty tricky to do. Usually what I do is I'll just deploy my Terminators normally, but I'll put the teleport homer somewhere on the board just to kind of annoy my opponents a little bit, to be like, okay, well, I would have moved here, but I'm gonna move slightly over here-ish just to make sure that I turn off the teleport homer. And then I'll just spend the CP to rapid ingress them in, because in the heat of battle, it's really hard to find a space that is essentially 18 to 20 inches away from all enemy units. Unless I'm bringing my Terminators in late game, which again feels really, really silly for how expansive they are. It's really hard to justify spending the 180 or 360 points to bring in a squad for only like turns 3 or 4, or maybe even not having them initially on the board can be a little bit of a struggle. Also, one thing I would like to point out with the new Assault Terminators is the old Assault Terminators had one weird little codpiece armor that you glued onto the crotch of one Terminator. This has that same bit. It's 2 pieces of overlapping armor that goes right on the crotch, but it's just a really, really fun inclusion. That little bit that is absolutely ridiculous and silly looking on Terminators, it's made its way onto the new model, which is really, really funny. Honestly, I kind of wish they all had it. I think it actually looks really solid. It really draws the eye right to where it should be looking. New Terminators for the Space Marines. Man, is there anything left for the Space Marines? I think Vanguard Veterans could come back because Stormguard Veteran got refreshed in a new box. So Vanguard Veterans, the Jump Pack Stabby Boys would make sense. The only other thing I can think of is a multi-part kit for the Primaris Outriders, because currently they still have the Monopose kit, the Push Fit kit from the Leviathan box, or from the Indominus box. So it's been 6 years on those suckers. So that's the only thing I can think of that the Space Marines don't already have in their range. Now, if the Games Workshop design team has some room in their schedule, maybe give Dark Eldar back some of our things, please and thank you. At least give us Urian Rackhearth. Losing Urian is such a blow. He was so good. Just one lone homunculus running around the board, literally dying and then coming right back to life. It was so good. But alas, it is gone from the Codex, but at least it was replaced with a different version of Court of the Archon, the Hand of the Archon, which is 10 Cabalites, but they're slightly stabbier as opposed to slightly shootier. But speaking of things that are stabbier and shootier, Games Workshop is not the only company coming out with some new minis. We've also got some new stuff coming from Corvus Belli for the game Infinity. I love me some Infinity. I've been working on my Pan-Oceania, but I have also been hard at work collecting my Hak Islam. I was able to snipe these suckers on eBay, the Kum motorized troops. These are the motorbike guys. This is one of the boxes available for these guys, and then there's another box which is the Nova Scotia twins. That's not correct, but it's close. The Nazarova twins. And so then I could have 4 motorbike riding troops, and that would be a really, really fun way to run vanilla Hak Islam. So the game Infinity is broken down into factions and then into sectorials. And sectorials are kind of like, for 40k with the detachments, it's kind of like your detachment. But it does give you certain restrictions on what units you're allowed to bring, because each sectorial is based around the different cultures within each faction in Infinity. And so for the Hak Islam, these guys are actually part of the generic Hak Islam sectorial. And so it's kind of all of the weird like nomads and snipers and all like guns for hire that have come out for Hak Islam over the years. And so I'm really excited about the motorbike troops. This box is hefty. There's some serious metal in here, and I'm really looking forward to it. But speaking of looking forward to things, brand spanking new minis. We got something new for the army Yujing, the China faction, and it is a new flyer. Oh boy, this name, Fei Quan Imperial Tactical Wing. The Emperor's Eye in the Sky have always been a source of controversy, as numerous human rights organizations have accused the Imperial Service of violating citizens' civil liberties with this widespread and intensive surveillance. But the war on terrorism and domestic insurgency demands no less, and the Imperial Service has continued to broaden the scope of its Special Air Division, notably in the aftermath of the tragic events of the Japanese uprising. Yujing is a really cool faction with some of the highest tech in the game of Infinity. The story of Infinity is so interesting because like all of the different it's Earth, but just a few hundred years in the future. And so all of the different factions of the planet came together to try to colonize outer space. And America was leading the charge on this, and it failed. And so America basically was destroyed. Or not destroyed, but it just made incredibly weak by this venture failing. And China skyrocketed to success. But then eventually, the new world order, Pan-Oceania, eventually was able to kind of rekindle their empire and become the dominant force on Earth. And China is rapidly trying to catch up to the technological advancements that Pan-Oceania made. And so their faction has lots of really, really cool, really high-tech stuff that looks really good in orangey yellow. And this is another new flyer. And this might be my favorite flyer. There's a really cool one for the nomads, but I do like the 4 little like swivel air intakes that are on this sucker. It's a really, really cool miniature, and it is in plastic resin, which I wasn't sold on until I put together one of the tags for the Nomads. Oh no, for the JSA, the Japanese Successionist Army. And I took it out of the box, and it's in slightly bendy, plasticky resin, and I was like, uh-oh. But then I put it together, and it's flawless, and it doesn't weigh a pound because it's made of metal, and it's just really nice. So I'm definitely coming around on the new plastic minis. After the Yujing, we got some Hassan Brahm expansion pack beta for the Haq Islam army, but not for my specific sectorial. This is the one built all around espionage. Theoretically, the Hassan Society is one of the Haq Islamite intelligence agencies, but this definition is inadequate because it is not used as a government agency, not even within the turbulent world of espionage. The Hassan form a secret criminal sect funded by the Borak government, whose mission is the defense of the Haq Islamite faith, the search for knowledge, and the metaphysical intellectual illumination as a means of contacting with the divine. These guys are part of the not-so-good guys in the Haq Islam faction. In the World of Infinity, the Haq Islam are kind of the goody two-shoes. They're the really, really good guys, but within the really, really good guys, kind of the most interesting ones are the really, really bad guys, or just the very morally gray guys. And I mean, it just kind of makes sense that whenever you come up with a theme, the thing that breaks from that theme is always extra special and extra interesting. And so we've got, it looks like a jump pack guy, a heavy armor guy, and a sneaky guy. And that would pair really, really nicely with basically anything in the Haq Islam army. This is for expansion pack beta. Oh, it's an expansion pack, so this goes along with the starter boxes for the Haq Islam faction. Ooh, that means that these guys might be playable alongside my Kum motorized troops. Interesting. And then rounding out the new releases, we've got the Tunguska Triggermen. Field agents equipped with robotic bodyguards, and who are a step above the Tunguskan corporate mafias, hitmen and henchmen. They will be assigned to more important tasks. Their job description includes doing the legwork for the ventures of the senior executives, researching clients, extorting suppliers, digging for dirt, eliminating competition, and procuring stuff that is not available by conventional means. This makes a lot of sense for the Nomad faction. They make up the outsiders to the normal human sphere. They actually live on 3 world ships out in space, Tunguska, Corregidor, and Bakunin. And this has created 3 different cultures of outcasts who do not like Aleph, the AI that runs the human sphere technology and society. They see it as just an absolute affront to their humanity. And so they live out in space where they are absolutely free to do whatever they want as long as they continue to pay the warlords for their air and water. So are they more free than the humans, the regular human society, or are they less free? It's a really interesting puzzle. It's a really interesting circle to try to square. But these guys, and this is almost a little bit of like a silly point to their whole civilization and their whole like ideology, is that they've got a sniper dude who's got a robot hitman bodyguard. And so that robot, he's willing to let that robot, keep him safe and protect him, but he's not willing to let Aleph the AI protect and provide for him. I don't know, I really like the Nomads. They're a really, really interesting faction. And it's interesting that we've got 2 guys on a base. That's actually kind of nice because it's a little annoying when you've got a whole gaggle of guys who are all kind of taped together because you need them to interact with each other based on the rules of the game, but they're all separate bases. I think just throwing these 2 guys as one model on one base is a really, really nice touch. And I do like that robot with the weird stilt legs and the P90 submachine gun looking thing. It's just a really nice look. Ooh, I like that base too. I think that might be one of their resin-based toppers, but I like the little bit of very, very cold steel showing through with just some very irony rust thrown on top. I might have to steal that for something in the near future. But all 3 of these new releases look really, really cool. The Haq Islam has got me tempted. I'll have to double check if it is available with my sectorial. And the Nomads, I just love everything for the Nomads. They're really cool. I got a drawer full of Nomads. I'm just waiting to build up my Infinity knowledge and painting skill before I actually attack that little section of my army. But you know what else I'm getting ready to attack? That's right, EonsOfBattle.com. EonsOfBattle.com is packed with all sorts of hobby goodies, and our newest product is custom nameplates. These custom plates glue to the front of mini bases and can say whatever you want. It's a great way to give your minis some extra razzle-dazzle. And Eons of Battle is the best way to support us doing what we do with a membership. Each month, members get a credit they can use on our new monthly terrain pack or any previous pack we have ever made. This September, we're revisiting our Blood Factory with the Dark Factorum Reborn. This is an epic collection of macabre modular walls that allow for building any shape and size of terrain, like L-shaped ruins and claustrophobic hallways. Within this set are the pulsating power plants, the engorged fluid pump, the digestive pools, all capped off with the deafening screams of the breathing organ. These glistening contraptions blend brutal machinery with fleshy constructs, creating a disturbing manufacturing facility full of unsightly architecture. This terrain pack is fully compatible with our previous Dark Manufactorum and expands it sickeningly. So much wargaming to be doing in the near future. I was all set to rock and roll with my Necrons. I got my army list put together, Star-Shattered Arsenal detachment. I got 2 more Doomsday arcs, and now Games Workshop's bringing me back to the Space Marines with all of these new models. I don't know what I'm gonna work on, but I've got plenty on my desk. Thanks for watching.